welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing a 2024 election prediction between Cory Booker and Mike Pence. Also, by the time this comes up, it'll probably be tomorrow. I'm pretty sure currently it's like 11:36-ish. But by the time this comes up, I think it's probably gonna, because I typically schedule it. And it typically comes up, I think. Like, its schedule is you schedule it for, every quarter of an hour, and by the time it's all loaded, it would probably be too late for it to go up by 11:45. It might be like 11:44, but it'll probably take a minute to fully load or whatever. So I'll probably be up by I'll probably actually be up by 12 a.m. ish. So yeah, sorry about that. It's probably gonna happen fairly frequently. I think this happened before, and it's probably not gonna be the last time. But yeah, now I'm just labeling the likely states. I think that's it for my prediction. So for New Mexico, or at least for the likely states for this prediction, New Mexico, Booker's going to do well enough with Hispanic Latino voters, and do well enough with oil workers. Virginia, Booker's going to do well enough with black voters, and do well enough in the D.C. suburb. Pence is going to struggle with the rural vote. This could legitimately be a safe state. I think Booker's stronger for black voters than Biden. Probably stronger or similar for the D.C. suburbs than Biden, whereas Pence is weak for white rural voters. So this honestly, this probably should be safe. I typically give Virginia likely, but in this scenario, I actually see it probably being a low safe or a high likely. New Hampshire, Booker has enough appeal to white rural college educated voters, may not large, he has enough appeal to white rural college educated voters. Nebraska second, Booker has enough appeal in the suburbs. Minnesota, Booker has enough appeal in Minneapolis, enough suburban appeal, enough working class appeal, and Pence is going to get less rural turnout. Michigan, Booker has enough appeal to black voters, he has enough suburban appeal and pretty decent working class appeal, whereas Pence has very little working class appeal and very little rural appeal. Nebraska's first, the suburbs will continue to shift to the left. Pence isn't a phenomenal suburban candidate either, I don't think. I think I think he's tied to Trump too much to the point where he would be a great suburban candidate. Kansas, the suburbs will continue to shift away. Booker's strong enough in the suburbs, and Pence is going to get less rural turnout. Missouri, Pence is going to get less rural turnout. Booker's going to retain enough turnout from St. Louis and Kansas City and potentially actually gain in turnout. Mississippi, Booker's going to do well enough with the black vote. Pence is going to struggle with rural voters. Indiana, Booker's going to do well enough in Indianapolis and do well enough with black voters. In Gary, he's going to do well enough with the working class. Pence is probably going to struggle with rural voters. It is Pence's home state, so he could see it be safe, but based off the demographics, I think it's probably likely. South Carolina, Pence is going to get less rural turnout. Booker's going to do pretty well with the black vote. Alaska, we're probably going to see more and more Native American voters turning out and shifting it to the left. I think Booker's probably slightly above average, if not above average. I wouldn't say he's an amazing candidate in terms of Native American turnout, but I would say he's meh. Probably above average. Probably, that is. But he's also going to do well enough with oil workers. For Booker's lean states, he gets Nevada, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Nevada, Pence is going to get less rural turnout. Booker's probably going to get pretty decent Hispanic Latino turnout. I think, honestly, his Hispanic Latino appeal is kind of across the board as to where it is. It could be meh, weak, or pretty strong, but overall, I still see Pence getting small enough rural numbers to the point that it still goes to Booker lean. Georgia, Booker's going to have pretty good appeal to black voters, and he's going to do pretty well in the diversifying suburbs, whereas Pence is going to struggle with white rural voters. This will probably be. Booker, I think is a pretty good candidate all around. I think in the Rust Belt, I think is a pretty strong appeal to the working class, pretty good appeal to black voters, and pretty good suburban appeal. The Sun Belt, I think he has pretty decent suburban appeal and pretty good appeal to black voters. In the South, may appeal to Hispanic and Latino voters, primarily in the Southwest. I think it's probably above average, but his Hispanic and Latino appeal that is. But I'm going to give him Georgia lean. It could honestly be likely. I don't think it will be, but it could be a high lean. It's probably going to be like a high lean, realistically. Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, with Wisconsin being more conservative than Pennsylvania. Booker's going to do well enough with the black vote and do well enough in the suburbs, as well as doing pretty well with the working class, whereas Pence will struggle with rural voters and struggle with the working class, probably. For Pence's lean states, he gets Iowa, Ohio, Texas, and Florida. Iowa, Pence, honestly, actually, I'm going to give this, Iowa and Ohio are kind of hard. Pence, I don't think, has loads of appeal to Obama to Trump voters. I see him getting just enough rural turnout to be able to create by like 1.5%. Ohio, Booker's going to get good black turnout, do well in the suburbs, do pretty well with the working class. And Pence is going to struggle with rural voters. I think this would probably be a fairly similar. I think they're both weaker than either candidate. I think in terms of where their strengths lie, I think this would be more or less similar to 2012, whereas it's like an establishment Republican who has pretty decent suburban appeal. I don't think Pence has good suburban appeal as Romney, and pretty good and pretty decent rural appeal. I think in 2020 Romney would have or 2024 Romney would have even less rural appeal, whereas it's a Democratic candidate with. I think Obama had more appeal across the board, other than maybe in the suburbs, too. But particularly among these two demographics, Obama was probably going to be stronger than Booker. Doesn't necessarily mean that Booker isn't strong, but Obama was stronger with the working class and with black voters. But I think this is probably fairly similar. But these two are hard to call. I'm going to give them to Pence. I see him getting enough rural turnout. They could honestly both go to Booker. It's really a close call. Honestly, looking at this, I'm going to give Pence Iowa tilt, Booker Ohio tilt. I'll explain this when I get to them. Texas, Booker's going to get decent Hispanic Latino appeal, or decent Hispanic Latino turnout, do pretty well in the suburbs, whereas Pence is going to get significantly less rural turnout. Florida, Pence is going to do well enough with older white voters and do well enough with suburbanites. Honestly, Booker's probably pretty decent for older white voters and suburbanites. And Booker's probably meh for Hispanic Latino voters. Probably be more 2016 margins. For Pence, probably like 1.5-ish. For Booker's tilt states, he gets Arizona, North Carolina, and now Ohio. Oh, and Maine second. And Pence gets Iowa. So in Arizona, it's kind of a toss-up. I see Pence being tied enough to Trump to the point where traditional conservatives don't vote for him, but it could go to him easily. North Carolina, I see Booker having enough appeal to black voters, having enough appeal to suburbanites, and having enough appeal to the working class, with Pence really struggling with rural voters, so this honestly could be lean. It's not outside the realm of possibility that this goes to Booker lean. Maine second, Booker has enough of the populist appeal to do it. Hold up just a second. More than a second. Obviously, my computer has, like, this weird thing. But, so I didn't want it to just, like, come up. It's, like, some weird thing where it's, like, it's almost midnight, or I guess it's almost tomorrow. It's, like, 11:45 and has, like, this 15-minute. It's confusing, but, no, it's like confusing. I don't want to dive into it, but yeah. Anyways, North Carolina could easily be lean for Booker. Second, he has the populist appeal against someone like Pence. Ohio, he has enough appeal to black voters, enough suburban appeal, enough working class appeal. I think those three, with Pence's with Pence's struggles to turn out rural voters, will narrowly give it to him. Iowa, I think Pence is going to turn out just enough rural voters to narrowly carry it. Without any super reliably Democratic voting blocks that Booker will really be able to tap into, like black voters in Ohio, or shifting to the left like suburban voters in Ohio. I'm going to nearly give it to Pence. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video. By the time this comes out, probably significantly later today, maybe tomorrow. I'm not even certain at this point. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below. And I'll see you on my next video, whatever day in relation to whatever day you're seeing this or whatever. Probably on August 9th, maybe in the early morning of the 10th. So yeah, hope to see you all there. Bye.